Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. How are you doing today? Ready for some new stories from Ask a Lawyer? Let's go to the first one, about greed. So, OP's mother left OP a bigger portion of her inheritance than to OP's sister, because she didn't like the fact that the sister had kids from different men. Well, OP's sister still feels entitled to more money, and demands OP shares his money with her. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My mother had 2 kids, me and my sister. I have 3 kids, sister has 2. My kids are all full siblings, and the father is my husband. My sister's children are half-siblings, with different fathers, and her partner is not related to either of them. I have no issue with this, however, our mother did, and she didn't keep quiet about it. We both put up with her, but still stuck to the bare minimum amount of interaction with her. Mom had such an issue with it that she changed her will. So instead of us getting equal amounts, I got significantly more than my sister. We only found out after she passed away. The will was dispersed among other people, but the amount me and my sister had split between us. I got 75% and she got 25%. My sister was rightfully pissed off, as this was clearly Mom's final duck you to her. My sister and I are in similar financial positions, in terms of income and debt, but she goes for it a little bit more with spending. We only have one major difference in spending, which is where my family goes on smaller, more low-key holidays. Hers take larger, more expensive ones. And it adds up. I know all this because she asked me to look over her finances last year. As I got 50% more than her, and there are 5 children between us who didn't get anything, it seemed fair, in my opinion, to set up trust funds for each kid, with 10% in each one, and have it untouchable until they're 21. This means that me and my sister each get 25%, and the kids each get 10%. I couldn't, and wouldn't, do this without talking to my sister first, so I talked to her today and asked her for permission to go ahead with it. She wanted to know why a trust fund is necessary. Why not just give her the money directly and let her portion it out, or put it in an account where she can withdraw from it, suggesting that me wanting trust funds implies that I don't trust her. She also pointed out that this doesn't make it equal, as if we each have 25% and the kids each get 10%. Then my family gets 55% and hers gets 45%. I told my husband how things had gone with her, and he basically said it was a red flag. I've given it some thought, and I really want to help out my niece and nephew, and I want them to have some money put away and to know they've got that safety net. But the way my sister reacted seems like there may be further problems down the line. There's probably going to be problems regardless now, because I've told her the initial plan. But I want the option that will cause me the least hassle going forward. If I say I've changed my mind, she'll be mad for a while, but will eventually get over it. But if I go ahead with the trust funds, then until her kids have the money, I can't see her easing up on her view. Would I be the a-hole for retracting the offer? Info. We're in England, so tuition money isn't a huge concern, as everything is done through Student Finance England, and they don't even need to worry about paying it back until they're earning above a certain point. For people asking about the exact amount of money, I don't know what it is off the top of my head. I've not even gotten the original 75% yet. But my sister's kids are 9 and 5, and my kids are 5, 3, and 10 months. So if I can get the trust fund account with interest and set the age at 21, then they'll probably have built up quite a bit of interest. Working off the rough numbers, it's not a life-changing sum of money, like winning the lottery or anything, but it'll probably cover a second-hand car or a deposit on a reasonably sized house. Trust funds are probably more effort than they're worth, really. But this way the money is safe and gathering interest, and they can't do something stupid with it while they're still kids. She rejected OP's offer. Did I get that right? OP offered, and she did not like it. OP should do what she wants with the money. It is OP's. OP offered, and she said OP's offer was not good enough, so OP should not allow for negotiation. This is OP doing an act of charity for her children, not an opportunity for her to take OP for all she can get. If OP wants to set a trust fund for the kids, she should do that, and end of subject. And now let's see if the community agrees with my opinion. Audrey LA35 says, "Not the a-hole. If I understood correctly, you would be basically willing to cut your part of inheritance, and she's whining? What?" Lil Sixiloo says, "Not the a-hole. Personally, I would set the trust funds up and just not tell her, and gift it to the kids on their 21st birthday. Sister is throwing up red flags, and it is technically your money to do with as you please." 564-887W says, "Not the a-hole. Your mom willed her money the way she wanted for reasons important to her. It seems like giving the kids 10% each in trusts is a nice way of equalizing things out a bit. Face it, she wouldn't be happy unless you offered her 50-50, and you know it. This way, you've made it as you get the same amount as she did, and all the grandkids walk away with the same amount. Not your family getting more. Just go forward with your idea and present it to her, and don't give her access to the money. She will likely hit those kids up for the cash, so if I was you, I'd change the age to 25, with provisions to allow the trust to pay education costs directly to the schools when presented with the bills. Do not hand over a check to her and trust that she's going to make the payments. Dad passed away about 6 months ago, and shortly after his passing, we found out he'd left me, 28 female, almost everything. He gave my siblings and mother, divorced, a token amount to stop them being able to contest the will, but it was less than 1% of what I got. His reasoning was that they were always asking him for money or about the will, and he viewed it as evening things up due to me never asking for money and having been cut off for a year and a half when I was 20 to 21 after a disagreement with Dad. However, Dad's will hasn't been updated for nearly 2 years, and in this time, 2 of my 3 siblings have had sons, both under a year old, and Dad explicitly said more than once that he would update his will when he got around to it, and he would include amounts meant specifically for all 3 of his grandchildren. I also have a daughter, age 7. He passed away suddenly and hadn't made the changes he said he would before this. When we found out about the will distribution, we were all pretty shocked. There was an argument, and we didn't speak for a little while. After reconnecting, I informed my siblings that I had plans to set up trust funds for my nephews. There would be a decent-sized lump sum to start off, then an additional direct deposit every month until the boys were 25. My daughter has the same, and any new kids would also get this exact deal. I made the mistake of telling my siblings what I was planning, and since then, things have gotten bad again. They feel the initial sum is too low, or that the estimated final sum will be too low, and have asked why I'm going through the hassle of setting up a trust when I could just give them the money. I made it clear that this was my offer. I'm not negotiating or altering the terms in any way, and they've argued back and tried to get me to change it to more money or going to them directly like an allowance rather than a trust fund. During a phone call with my sister today, I said something like, "I've got half a mind to just take back the offer completely, all the hassle you're giving me over it," and she immediately began apologizing. I said I needed to think and hung up. And now I'm getting calls from my other siblings and mom saying I can't take back my offer, calling me greedy, selfish, cruel. I think I might be the a-hole because this isn't about my siblings. This is about the kids. And it's not like the kids are calling me greedy. Plus, it's still an emotional time. Dad has passed recently, and all my siblings got an absurdly small amount in the will compared to me. Would I be the a-hole for retracting the offer? Info. We're in the UK, so medical costs aren't an issue, neither is schooling, except university, but we have Student Finance England, where the loans are considerably smaller. You don't pay it off until you earn over a certain amount, and it gets written off after enough years. Estimated final amount would probably be a down payment on a house, obviously depending on what the economy and housing market looks like in 25 years. The monthly additional amount doesn't look like a lot, but I intentionally went low on it to make sure I could feasibly continue paying it for 25 years, and it'll add up. And so if there's more kids in the future, I can afford to do the same for them. My job is secure, so there's no risk of me needing the money to survive. I don't think OP is in the wrong here. They're the ones being greedy and entitled. OP should take the trusts back, and if OP changes his mind down the road, he can always give his nephews a little bit of money once they're away from their parents. If their biggest concern with his passing is what they get, they suck and shouldn't get anything else from OP. Let's hear the community's opinion. Amid the Primal Thing says, "Not the a-hole, but my advice to you is hire a trust and estates attorney ASAP. You don't want to outlive the money your father left for you, and if you start investing money into these trusts without a solid plan, you could end up broke in a matter of years. The economy is on a massive downturn right now. Exercise caution, and don't lock all of your money up in trust agreements for your nephews, family, until you know for certain that you've covered your bases for yourself. Your family isn't grateful, and they are harassing you. Put them on the back burner and get your ducks in a row before making any more generous offers." Two Leggings says, "Not the a-hole. Your siblings are being ungrateful, and the fact that they want the money directly to them emphasizes the funds won't fully go to the nephews. It's too bad for the nephews, but it's your money to do as you wish." Petticoat War says, "Soft, everyone sucks here. Listen, you can do whatever you want with the money. However, your dad wanted, and you wanted to do this nice thing for the children. Your dad is gone now, but remember that you did want to do this. You're correct that the children aren't responsible for your siblings' BS. I would suggest decreasing or cutting contact with your siblings, and making sure the trust funds can only be accessed by the kids when they get old enough, and not the parents. You can also take some time to think about what you want to do in general, since, as you said, it's an emotional time. The money will still exist in 1 year, and you can choose or not choose to set it up at that time." I, 22 female, have a trust fund that was given to me by my great-grandfather before he died. My 2 sisters, twins, female 17, recently found out about my trust fund, asking what their share is. I am the firstborn, and my grandfather died way before they were born, leaving a very large sum of money to me, and me only, since at the time I was an only child. My other grandparents on my dad's side created a trust fund for my sisters after they were born, so I didn't think I would ever have to think about splitting mine with them. About a year ago, my sisters have made it a point to tell my parents and other family members that I won't share with them. However, when I brought up that they have never once offered to split theirs with me, there would be no reason for me to split mine with them. This caused an uproar with my parents, telling me I'm greedy for not wanting to share with my sisters. My sister, who we will call Maddie, oldest twin, says that if they have to split their trusts amongst them two, then I should have to split mine with them as well, to avoid anyone having more than the other. I, however, do not wish to share, as I've worked hard to get mine, due to the stipulation on the trust stating I needed to have graduated college. I want to use the money to pay off some of my student loans and put the rest into savings, and leave a little bit for me to use to travel, since I'm out of college now. This has been an ongoing argument for almost an entire year, and my parents are now threatening to cut contact with me, since they apparently did not raise me to be so greedy. I love my sisters, and I do feel a little guilty, and I'm at the point where I might just give in to avoid further issues. So, am I the a-hole? OP's grandfather might have left OP's sisters their own trust funds if he hadn't passed away before they were born. It's also possible that OP's other grandparents would have created a trust fund for OP if they didn't know OP had one, and OP's sisters didn't. OP is being far too reasonable with them. The money is OP's, and OP's alone. OP should not feel guilty, and do not be guilted into sharing her money. Let's see the community's opinion on the matter. Teresa JS says, "Not the a-hole. There's a big difference between your trust fund and your siblings that you don't mention. You, probably, have access to your trust fund right now, or soon, and since your siblings are minors, they probably don't have access to their trust fund yet. So any money you give them from your current funds is money your parents won't have to pay to support your minor siblings. This means your parents have a strong incentive to persuade you to share your money. Also, dependent minors can't make legal contracts, so your siblings can't make a legal agreement with you to share their trust funds. And by the nature of trust funds, your parents can't agree to share your siblings' funds with you. In other words, any money you give anyone from your trust fund would almost certainly not be repaid ever." Wicked Love 7 says, "Not the a-hole. They got a trust fund as well from the other grandparents, who did not include you. Sure, yours is more money, but if you split yours and split it so each of you got the same amount, you'd end up with less because they also have money in a trust that they will be keeping for themselves. Tell your parents your siblings are the greedy ones for wanting their trusts and your trust fund. Let them go no contact. It's a petty reason." Edit. This is also a form of emotional aggression. Do as I say, or I won't speak to you or love you ever again. Your parents lack emotional maturity. It was left to you, not you and any other future grandchildren, siblings. Bet69 says, "Don't give in. You're young, so you may not see where this is heading as your siblings get older. It's going to be constant guilt trips, etc. on their part, especially if you end up being more successful than them. And your parents threatening to cut off contact is manipulative and emotional aggression. Ask them if they were raised to treat their kids like that. Keep your money, not the a-hole." I know the title seems harsh, considering it is my dad's money, but please read and reconsider. I, 23 female, am my dad's eldest child. He had 3 other children ages ranging from 18 to 3. He has 4 children with 3 different women, the second eldest being my 100% sibling. Backstory. When my parents divorced, my father started taking interest in foreign women. I say this because he would meet them online and fly them out to our country and home. This went on for years. When he broke it off with his girlfriend from Japan and sent her home, she tried to take him for everything since they had been together for 3 years. So he set up a trust fund. If anything was to happen to him, or if he was to get in a serious relationship, no one could take him for half of his companies, homes, and money. If any changes were to be made, everyone older than 18 had to sign to agree. Now on to the story. My dad, 50, has been with Rose, 32 female, for 5 years. They have had my youngest sibling together. Since being together, my dad has been Rose's sugar daddy, expensive trips, designer clothes. He sends money to Rose's family back home to pay their rent and living costs. Now, what my dad does with his money is his own business, just like mine. Last week, my dad asked me to come for dinner, and him and Rose asked if I would sign the new trust fund documents. Now, I'm not silly. I sat there and read it all. The new document, to pretty much sum it up, says, Rose will get the houses. Rose will get 70% of each business. Rose will get all the cars and boat. Rose will get 60% of the money, and the rest will be divided among the children. I told my dad this had to be a joke, and no way was I signing this. Rose pushed and said this was my way of accepting her into the family. I told Rose that she was already a part of the family, and putting on paper what she gets if my dad dies tomorrow proves that then she is a gold digger and delusional. She told me that if I didn't sign it, then I would be removed. I told her that wouldn't work as my siblings wouldn't agree to that change. I left and went home, but Rose keeps texting me. My dad set this up for reasons like this. I wasn't going to be pushed around. She might be manipulating my dad, but I see right through it. My dad has built these companies on his own. She did not contribute. I just want to add that I don't care what I get. This is not about money. I was raised humble and have worked hard for everything I have. I'm just looking out for my dad. I'm not looking for legal advice. We do have a family lawyer who looks after this all as well. So, am I the a-hole? MEXO212 says, absolutely not the a-hole. Put your no in writing. Tell your siblings and block Rose. To accept her into the family? This is laughable. In what world would you agree to something like that? Status Pattern 7539 says, not the a-hole. Try and speak to your dad privately. Tell him the trust fund was put in place for reasons like this. That if she were truly there for love, then she wouldn't mind the fund staying as is, except with the inclusion of any children she shares with your dad to be added, and wouldn't be harassing you. Armchair Shrink 99 says, not the a-hole. He set up these agreement terms and you don't agree. You maybe could have taken the high road on the name calling, but solely on the question of not signing, you're in the clear. If he wanted to be solely in control of all this, then the conditions he set up wouldn't even exist.